What's up, everybody? It is Rob from Spike Week. Today we are doing a big board draft. We are unfortunately doing it solo, but we decided at the last minute that we should have this stream. So buckle up, get ready, make sure you jump in this draft. Try to take all of my money. Let's do it. So we're not even going to waste any time today. We're going to jump right into the draft. Let me go ahead and get some Underdog going. The thing is, I have to switch everything over to the other web browser. So just give me one moment here. Let's share our screen. There we go. It's a little different than the other way that we normally do this, but here we are. We've done it. We've done it. Should have test run this, but this is what happens when me and Eric decide at the last minute that we are going to draft a big board right now. What is everybody interested in talking about? Are we talking strategies? Are we talking some of the quarterbacks? The Aaron Rodgers stuff never seems to end unless that happened while I was sleeping. Lamar Jackson, that's a lot of fun right now. What's going to happen there? We are in. We need one more person, and we are full. What is our draft position going to be? Of course, we have the seventh pick. Let me go ahead and try to make this a little bit easier to see for everybody. And let me know if that's good for everyone. So we're going to draft this big board team. And rumor has it it's going to be the greatest big board team that's ever been drafted on March 22nd. Will we be able to do it from the 7 hole? We see only 2 badges. We must have gotten this late. Must have filled up. Oh my God, I think this is my imposter that I was slightly accused of having 2 accounts for 1 second last year. King Cause 88. No idea who that is. It is not me, I promise you. I don't even have enough money to max out every single contest on my own account. Never mind jumping in on other accounts trying to max out over there. We have Vaporware in the chat. He's in this. He is in the 12 hole. I don't like the 12 hole because I like doing the double back-to-back picks. I don't like the 6-7 position personally, in general. Although I think Pat did win from 7 last year, right? All right, so we are off. We see this draft starting relatively normal. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I'm going to guess CMC goes specifically because there's not a badge next to Isaac's name. And I'm going to be honest, I would take CMC here myself at the 3 spot. And there he goes. So the 7 spot is interesting because things start to muddy up around there in most of the drafts. I've seen some guys like Kelsey fall there. I don't think I've seen Cooper Kupp fall to the 7, but I think I've seen him fall to the 6. Seeing a lot of Tyreek Hill go in that 4 spot lately, pushing Kupp back. And I don't disagree with it completely. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to play that. So we still see Kelsey on board. We do see that. I have our exposures working here. And I have not drafted Travis Kelsey at all yet. Let's continue that trend. You know what? Let's take a Kelsey team. Actually, I don't want to do that. I do not want to take Kelsey. I'm not taking Kelsey at all in the big board. Let's do a cold fade on Kelsey. Let's take Stephon Diggs and go from there. So as you look, you can see that I have the Spike Week overlay up and going. And we see G Strat is in the 4 spot, taking Tyreek Hill. Nice. Don't hate it. Yes, Nick, the imposter is in the draft. We'll see how he drafts. See if he drafts anything like me. My exposures are just showing the regular exposures for now. We do see Josh Allen light up because he does correlate with Stephon Diggs. So we might see a couple things like that occur as we go through it. But having This up is nice because I have been drafting a lot on my phone while on the go, and I've not been seeing my exposures as I draft, which I was doing a lot more of last year. I plan on doing some offline streams where we can really dive into the tools as we're drafting, specifically when we get schedules and stuff like that. I still might do some otherwise, but yeah, you can kind of see that I have a ton of Bijan Robinson, 24%. Jonathan Taylor, I'm at 12%, which is weird because I feel like I haven't drafted him in a while. Saquon, I was hammering a lot early. And then we see guys like Mahomes at 0%. I think that's wrong. I think I drafted him earlier today. I just didn't update my teams, but that percentage is low. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to make sure that we could show off these tools. We do see Kelsey, Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor go after us, and we have Vaporware on the wrap here. What are some things you guys are seeing in drafts over the last week or two that you're shocked by? You're trying to gauge a little better. Are you starring guys like Damian Harris and trying to play the where can I get them without missing out on him game? I've been doing that a little bit myself. I'm okay with still drafting Damian Harris, especially because he's in Buffalo. Amon-Ra has been falling a lot in my drafts. Not this one, obviously. He goes 13. But I started A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra in a draft earlier today, which was very nice. Vaporware brings up a great point. Hit the thumbs up button. Let us get that like. We're going to be on the clock here in 1 second. I don't know if you guys saw Eric post some interesting percentages. Maybe I'll try to pull it up later if I can. Let's take our pick first. Do we just want to do the Allen Stephon Diggs stack and see what we can pull out here? Let's do it. Let's do Allen Diggs. So Eric was posting some of our projected ownership data. And I think, if I recall correctly, ooh, that's going to show everything, huh? Let's not do that. Let's do it over here. And then I can just drag it over. And I think we were looking at some stacks, and Josh Allen was one of the quarterbacks we were looking at and trying to see. I'm not even going to try to do this because I still have to set up this entire browser because I usually use Chrome. And I'm not logged into Twitter on this, so we will not be doing that. I'll try to pull it up on my phone and I'll just read some of the percentages. But basically, the ownership between stacks, and I think if I remember correctly, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs were only at 10% ownership across drafts. So you would think that it's higher, especially because you can get them in the first 2 rounds, but it doesn't look like it's been happening. Whereas guys like the one that stood out to me, Patrick Mahomes and MVS, I mean, obviously MVS is a lot easier to get. He's later in the draft, but he's at that's like a 52% owned stack. And if you're getting that, I mean, those numbers are a bit tougher to continue to go with if you're trying to get that stack. Whereas like a 10% stack with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, you're investing a lot more capital, obviously, but something that I don't mind doing. And I'm starting to come around to just drafting one of the 3 quarterbacks in the first 2-3 rounds, especially when you can push Jalen Hurts. We see 8 to the K going with both quarterbacks. I just noticed that. That's interesting. He goes Justin Jefferson, Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. That I don't know if I'll be doing too much this year. I might try it once or twice. I do like ETN here. I do like Ramondre. And I do like D-Hop. But I think we're going to go. Let's take ETN. Let's go ahead and do the Jacksonville running back. Do enjoy that. But I am starting to take a little bit more D-Hop. The trade rumors are popping up a bit more. And I think that people are going to overreact. And I think he's going to get bumped up to the second round, probably, specifically based on wherever he goes. And I think there's some teams that he could go to that could really put him in that second, third round range. Yeah, Vaporware is looking at that one hole bully elite QB. I'm interested to see how that team works out for them. They do have a red badge, so you would assume they know what they're doing. Again, it's something I will try. G Strat's agreeing with me about D Hop moving up. I agree. I think it's going to be a given once we find out his landing location. So I'm taking some of him, and I still will when he moves up. I don't see any evidence other than he's 137 years old of why we should stop drafting him. After we draft ETN, we do see Debo go. We see Ramondre go right after that. Don't expect any of the guys we were just looking at to get back to us, especially in a stream draft. Justin Fields in the third round at the 10 hole. So you are seeing quarterbacks that specifically are going to get pushed in this draft, probably with Hurts and Mahomes going out the 2-3 turn. Again, real interested to see how that team plays out. All right, so let's kind of look at some of our stuff. Calvin Ridley is highlighted, as you can see on our board, because he correlates with Travis Etienne. So you'll start seeing some of these colors pop up, which is nice to know. Like it helps draw attention to guys that matter for your team. And it's so nice when we actually have the schedule and you start seeing your week 17, 16, 15 correlations pop up in color. I love all of that as well. It just makes your team a lot more fun to draft, a lot more interesting to draft. So we are coming up here. We see guys like Joe Burrow, Mark Andrews, Mike Williams, Najee, TJ Hawkinson on the board now. So we have Josh Allen, we have Travis Etienne, we have Stephon Diggs. I'd like another wideout, but this is like that range where it starts to get a little uncomfortable at wide receiver. I still think it's going to be the way to go. Let's take Mike Williams. We have 6% of him right now, roughly. Like I said, I didn't upload a team or two earlier today, so we'll go with Mike Williams. So right now we have Josh Allen, Travis Etienne, Stephon Diggs, Mike Williams, and we will see what we can do with this draft. Clearly, we already have Week 17 correlation, Week 16 correlation. I have some guys at the NFL draft making process. Not the NFL draft, the NFL schedule making committee, and I will inform them that for this specific team, I want all Week 17 correlations. Thank you. So we will see the LA Chargers playing the Buffalo Bills in Week 17 on Monday Night Football. It's just going to happen. Why? Because I can influence people like that. Clearly. Lamar Jackson, he goes in the fourth. Has anyone been playing Lamar as if he's going to go to a different team? So I did draft a team earlier today where I had Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and I had put Lamar on there, just fantasy booking that he is somehow going to end up in Atlanta. Personally, I think Atlanta is the right spot for him to go if he is not back in Baltimore. So I'm not going to do it a lot, but maybe one or two more times. Yeah, well, I think that freak accident won't happen again. Target Hog, who comments that, of course, they'd have to play the Monday night game and not cancel it. I think that was a freak thing, and fairly confident to say that we probably won't see that happen again this year. But luckily, that situation played out in a positive manner in the end, instead of what we all thought we saw. And that's all I am going to say about that particular game. All right, so fresh off that double QB, let's just keep track of this. A to the K in the one hole went Justin Jefferson, Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Najee Harris, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the fifth round. So I think that really does start to show like just how hard it is to do double elite QB. It already feels like he's missing a piece. So going 2-3 hole on there and then waiting an entire thing, it's going to be tough to do. It's going to be real tough to do. We are on the clock. We could grab Christian Kirk and correlate him with Travis Etienne. I did grab Jamison Williams once or twice earlier today, so again, my percentages are a bit off right now. Not crazy off though. Um, let's play the trade game. Let's take Godwin and let's hope he gets traded somewhere. I think Godwin in a new home, second year off that injury, could be a real steal towards the end of the 5th round, honestly. KZ is really excited about his auto Joe Mixon pick. We all are. We're really excited for you to auto pick. Could you do it now? Like as soon as you're on the clock again? Just get him off the board for him. Breathing Fantasy Football says, how do I become a winning best ball player? Well, there are multiple ways. It's learning your game, and it's just like any other game of skill. Your path might be different than other people's paths, but there's a lot of the same, ways to get there, whether it be studying, and I always go back to poker. Studying, what do you do well? What do you do better against other people? Poker is a very big game of skill, and you have to know how you play, what you're comfortable doing, but also how do you leverage that against your opponents? What are spots that you're doing in drafts that you find a little bit of an edge over other opponents? Figure that out and figure out why it's an edge and figure out how to attack it even more. In poker, if you're aggressive, how do you use that in terms to get paid off more, right? So there's a bunch of games that I play that I am, or how do you, well, I guess that's a whole different thing about going with image. You're not going to get that in the draft. But how can you leverage what you do well against other people that might not do it as well, right? That's one thing that I look at, like when I'm looking at my player combos, where I'm looking at taking stands. I think that I'm relatively decent at picking guys to take stands on, and not only just take stands on, but complete fades. So right now, Travis Kelce is a complete fade for me. I will not have him in the big board, and I will reassess that as we get into some of the main contests. That's one of the things that I'm looking at. Who are players that I can fade? But maybe that's not your great thing. How can you use your exposures? How can you use your combos? Stuff like that. We are going to be coming back up on the clock. We see Dalvin Cook still on board, Brandon Ayuk, Damon Pierce. I like Ayuk here. Just getting him a smidge past ADP. I think we're going to grab Brandon Ayuk. He's one of the guys in San Fran that I don't care who the quarterback is too much. I think he's fine with whoever is playing QB over there. So I'll grab him. But yeah, becoming a winning best ball player. I mean, obviously there is, just like any game of chance, there is a bit of luck involved. But if you're coming up with a strategy, sticking to it, you will be a winning player overall. I mean, watch streamers. What are they doing? What do you like that they do? What do you not like that they do? Knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you do like. If you don't like that someone takes a stand on players, why don't you like that? Why do you think it's better to be flat on exposures? And that's not a knock. It's understanding what your thought process is towards the game. Like right now, I have 41% DeAndre Swift. I'm sure that's very high to some of you. And at the point in time that I was drafting him before David Montgomery went over there, I liked it. And I still don't even hate it. I still think DeAndre Swift is a tournament winning player that you're getting in the 7th round right now. I mean, it takes one game in week 15, 16, 17 for Swift to absolutely break the slate. And he might be one of the low advance rate, high upside guys, right? You get 3 viable weeks from him in the regular season, and then he just goes off in the playoffs versus a guy that somebody got, like a Josh Jacobs of last year, who carries everybody and then just fizzles out. It's a possibility. Is it going to happen? Can't say that. But those are the things you need to be looking at. What's your risk tolerance? Are you okay with advancing less teams? Are you looking for advance rate? These are the things you should be asking yourself if you're playing in any type of volume. Personally, I'm generally fine advancing less teams than everybody else because I think I can put together some sneaky good teams as we take Cam Akers in the 7th round. So right now we have Josh Allen, Travis Etienne, Cam Akers, Steph Diggs, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk. And I do like Cam Akers this year, specifically getting him in like the 7th round. We saw him come on late over with the Rams last year after all the turmoil. He's a he's a fun player because his range of outcomes is so wide, but he did show that he still has it in him to absolutely be fantasy relevant next year. G Strat is not excited that I took Ayuk. I am very sorry about that. I will see if I can return him. Let's make a trade. All right. I will give you Brandon Ayuk, and you can give me Drake London. Just a solid 1-for-1. If you want him that bad, that's all I ask is Drake London. Give him to me now. Give me Drake London. All right. Vaporware is on the wrap right now, getting ready to take his players. We see Deshaun Watson go in the 7th. Part of the things that I'm still, and I'm sure you guys are sick of me talking about it, is I am trying to figure out the quarterback thing. I'm becoming more and more fine with the elite quarterbacks, especially when I start to see guys like Deshaun Watson going in like the 7th, and I think earlier today, and it might have just been pushed up a bit, like the Jared Goff tier was going in the 9th round. And I understand that there's a huge difference in capital between a 2nd-round wide receiver and a 9th-round wide receiver, but I'm coming to terms with being more comfortable with taking the elite quarterbacks. My exposures aren't going to be anything like I had with Mahomes last year, where I was at like 50% because I just thought he was a steal in the 5th, and I was grabbing him in the 4th and 5th, 6th round whenever I could. But I think I'm going to be comfortable being close to double the field on Hurts and maybe one of the other two, and then maybe 10% or so on the third guy, whoever I decide the third guy is. Might be Josh Allen. But I think that's something that I'm going to be looking to do is to double leverage the field on Jalen Hurts this year, specifically. We are on the clock, and I'm not paying attention because I'm talking about Jalen Hurts, who isn't even available. I like Tyler Algier a lot. I do like Courtland Sutton a lot as well. Let's grab Courtland Sutton here and get a 5th wide out because there is some running back stuff I like later. And Courtland Sutton, I mean, I do like Zay Flowers, but Courtland Sutton in terms of like known prospects, and I do like Mooney and the Peoples Jones area. But right around here is where wide receiver really starts to evaporate, in my opinion. There's a few guys in pockets that I do enjoy still, but it starts to get real gross after the 8th round of wideouts. So usually by round 8, 5 wideouts is almost mandatory, in my opinion. I've done some builds without doing 5, and it always feels like you're missing a guy right now. And as ADP shakes out and continues to move, that round could move to the 9th round. It could move to the 7th. Probably going to stick around the 8th, 9th round. But it gets real wild there. Breathing Fantasy Football literally is asking you can trade in best ball. I mean, you got to write a letter. You got to talk to your congressman. You got to get it notarized as well. But if you do all that, go to your congressman, get the letter notarized, send it to the president of best ball. They will tinker around in about 3 to 4 months. You will see if your trade goes through. Just throwing that out there. If anyone was wondering how you trade in best ball, that's how you do it. And it's all got to be handwritten. You cannot email. This is very, very formal, very, very, very special circumstances. Vaporware is fading the big three QBs on the big board, hoping they will fall to the third in BBM4. I get that too. Like it's not. I'm not saying that I am right by any means. I totally understand fading them. I just go back up to who's the most likely to put up 40 points in a single week in the quarterback position. And I do hear the argument about you can make the quarterback points up more, and yes and no. Throughout a full season, yes, probably, but on a single game basis, look at DFS. When a quarterback goes off for 40 and no one else goes off for 23, you're dead if you don't have that player, right? So those are the things that I'm looking at. So this is that quarterback range. I have a ton of Darnell Mooney. I'm starting to pivot some of that over to Donovan Peoples-Jones because I think it's the same type of player in terms of like what I'm looking at for their production wise. Let's grab Rashad Penny though. Let's push Penny up and take him. And if we can get DPJ later, which clearly we won't because we are on stream. And I have tips in my hand to DPJ. But that's fine. We'll take Penny. No, I didn't see the Browns trade. What was it? I literally came home. I fell asleep. Who did they get? Tell me. Tell me what I missed while I was sleeping. Maybe I just saved myself. Maybe I saved myself. Who did they trade for? You can break this news to me live on air. I woke up about 20 minutes before the stream. Oh, Elijah Moore went to the Browns? That's fun. That is fun. If you're messing with me, G-Strat, I'm going to be very sad. I'm going to look this up and confirm it. Not that I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody. I'm trying to look up Elijah Moore. I look up Elijah Conless on Twitter. Yep. Oh, so he went to the Jets, traded him to the Browns and their third round pick for a second round pick. Interesting. That is an interesting trade. I think that shows you that. Oh, man, does that make you guys think that they're going to move Chubb now? Because it did seem like they were rumbling like they were trying to become a pass-heavy offense. I don't know what you would get for Nick Chubb. I think he'll fall, but I still think I like DPJ for that specific type of role I was talking about. It might be better to get him now, later, because he's probably just going to be one of those Quez Walken-like guys. Maybe. No, I still think DPJ is going to be on the field a bit more. I don't know. I like DPJ still. I have to think that one through a bit. I have to see like what I think their sets are going to be. There's going to be Cooper Moore, DPJ. Interesting. All right. We see Fryermuth. We see like Kirk Cousins, Trey Lance on the board. We could take Trey Lance in the 10th. I am comfortable with him in the 10th round as my second QB. Or we can't because he goes right before us. So for me, I'm looking at like KJ Osborne, AJ Dillon here. Let's scroll a bit, see if there's anyone else we like. Really gets a little ugly back here. I'm going to grab Osborne. Thielen's gone. I already liked Osborne last year. Production could tick up a bit. 10th round. KJ Osborne feels fine. And I do think Lamar is rumbling to go there. And I don't think that'd be good for Osborne, personally. Yeah, so that trade is interesting. I'm glad that you brought that to my attention. I would not have seen it until after the stream. And then I would have sounded like an idiot, which has never happened here at Spike Week. Not one host has ever sounded very dumb. My dog is very upset that I am streaming right now, but he'll get over it. Not quite as crazy as Bime 4s when they get angry. He just comes over and stares at me. Gives me the look. Why aren't we out doing something? All right. I want to, after these two picks, I do want to look at this one whole team real quick, see what they got going on. So they went with Justin Jefferson, Mahomes, Hurts, Najee, JSN. Then they went with Kadarius Toney in the sixth to stack with Mahomes. They went DeAndre Swift, Rashad White, Michael Thomas, Jalen Hyatt, Dalton Schultz in the 11th. I probably would have pushed tight end. I don't hate the team as a whole that they're making. I think with that build, I definitely would have pushed tight end to the end if I didn't grab an elite one early, and I don't think Dalton Schultz is elite by any means. So my play would have been to push tight end because you're done at quarterback, obviously. And I would have grabbed another wide out, potentially running back. And we see Sky Moore go right before. Was the guy that I was looking at. Wide receiver is pretty gross right now. We could get quarterback done, grab Russell Wilson. It's not sexy, but I don't hate grabbing Russell Wilson. And we could double stack with Knox if we wanted to. But do we want to is the question. Let's do it. Let's go ahead. Let's grab Russell Wilson. We're done at QB. We don't even need to look at purple anymore. We have Josh Allen. We have Russell Wilson. I did a build earlier today where I took Jalen Hurts as my only quarterback, and I will pop that up on stream when we're done. We'll look at that team because I actually like the way it came out with having a single QB. And I think that is a build that I'll be looking at doing more. And I don't care that you get the extra 2 picks in the big board. It just allowed me to kind of build a fun single Jalen Hurts team. And that's a team that I think we should look at. Sorry, let me put this board back up. Let's see. We see that Odell going in the 11th, huh? What is if he's going in the 11th right now? What is he going to get pushed up to when he signs with any team? And is anyone going to be comfortable drafting Odell at those prices? Because I don't think I can. I mean, I loved Odell when he was great and all, but we're talking a year out of the league, older, tore his knee up in the Super Bowl, the year previous. I know he should be healthier this year, but good Lord. It's a tall ask to take him in the 11th and above. We missed out on Damian Harris, someone that we should have been looking at. Nice job by Vaporware to grab him. Was really hoping Alec Pierce fell back to us here. That was kind of the guy I was eyeballing. We see him go as the second pick in the 12th round. Samaje Perine going to King Coes. Not me. This guy's not me, just so you guys know. Don't ever make that mistake again. Let's see. We're looking at players like Dawson Knox. We need to get rid of quarterbacks. Kareem Hunt's there. Antonio Gibson is a guy that I've been drafting a bit, obviously, taking a little bit of a stand on him early while we think of it. We see Dawson Knox go right before us, which is fine. I don't think I wanted to go Dawson Knox. I think I want to push tight end. Let's grab Romeo Doubs. Let's grab a 7th wide out. Then I might hammer RB for a bit. Breathing Fantasy Football says, does the winning best ball player pedigree include being aware of daily player news or just wing it? Yes, I'm so sorry that I missed out on a trade that happened an hour ago while I was sleeping. My days are 16 hours long, and I do have to occasionally sleep during the day just to get some sleep. I'm on 4 hours of sleep over the past 48 hours. So thanks for that. Vaporware said that he did one of the Hertz solo teams too and liked it a lot. Yeah, I think it's viable, and I think that people are going when there's 20 draft spots. Obviously, they're like, well, I can take one, and I definitely can take a second quarterback late if I wanted to. Totally understand that concept, but I think we've already been talking about soloing QBs if we take one of the elite three, potentially four. I think you could probably do it with Fields too. Might be it's a lot more iffy, to be fair. But the teams you can generate by just, you know, throwing that extra dart as a running back or a wide receiver. And if Allen, Mahomes is scoring on average 2 to 3 more points a week than most of the other quarterbacks, which is probably fair, right? I'd have to look at a chart. Then you're already making those points up throughout the week, and you can take that zero and it's fine. So something that I'm going to be looking at some more data on this offseason, figuring out how I want to play that. But I think it's a fine strategy. Now, it would have sucked last year when Hertz goes out late, but we'll talk about that situation in a second. You could run into what me and Overzet ran into with our Hertz team, which was a 3 quarterback build. But let's go ahead and draft after this. I'm curious as how far Zeke's going to fall down the board. Because once he signs, he'll still move back up a bit, but he is free falling right now. We got a player with a 4 QB build, apparently. I really want to know what I'm going to do with the Miami running backs this year. It's something I was thinking about earlier. We're going to grab Sean Tucker, grab a rookie running back here. Because I think that you can still get some production from these Miami running backs, especially where they're going in like this 13th, 14th round range. I think I lean Jeff Wilson when they're so close to each other in ADP. I kind of like Jeff Wilson a little bit more. So I need to be cognizant of the fact that I need to start grabbing him in drafts a bit. So PSM with a 4 quarterback build right now is what we're being told. So let's see. He went Lamar in the 4th, Daniel Jones in the 9th, Kirk Cousins in the 10th, and Kyler in the 12th. Not for me, but do your thing. That's what you want to do. By all means, it's not a build that I will ever have, but it's an interesting one. They went Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, George Kittle. Oh, they got a lot of RBs too. That build is so right now their only wide receivers are Cooper Kupp and Josh Downs through 13 rounds. And I just don't think that's going to work out well. Wide receivers have been pushed up so heavily this year that trying to find value for the rest of your team from the 14th round on is going to be tough. But, what do I know? What do I know? We see Vaporware go with a double quarterback tap in the 13th, 14th round with Anthony Richardson and Jimmy Garoppolo on the wrap. I'm not grabbing Richardson at all right now. Could be a massive leak. He moved up the board a lot, which, isn't always a thing that I worry about. I just really worry about him playing at all, personally. But if you get him and he does play, then 13th round is probably a smash if he's playing like even half the season, the back half of the season. So it's risk tolerance on certain players. Some players I'm all in on, some players I'm not. Richardson feels like he's a raw talent that they're going to want to sit for a while. But, who knows? Somebody might just throw him in the fire. Any thoughts on Minshew? So Minshew is actually very interesting over there in Indianapolis. Let's draft and then we'll talk about Gardner Minshew. Um, with the running backs I have, I'm going to grab another rookie. Let's grab Tajay Spears. Let's talk about Gardner Minshew, and then we'll look at our team. So Gardner Minshew, I think, possesses like really, really good upside. But as Vaporware brings up, Richardson going to the Colts is the one place where I think he could play. Because if the Colts are drafting a quarterback and they have Gardner Minshew as their starter, Gardner Minshew has to do everything he can to hold on to that job. There's going to be rumblings for the rookie from day one. Like, absolutely looking for that guy to play. And I think the leash is going to be short on Gardner Minshew. However, I think that he has more pure upside than some other guys that we've seen go there. Like, obviously, Matt Ryan was terrible. Wentz was terrible. I like him better. I mean, in terms of risk, I like him better than a guy like Garoppolo, who's probably going to start all year on the Raiders. But we know what we're getting with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Minshew might be better fantasy wise. The problem is with him, I just worry that those fantasy numbers are going to come through weeks like 1 through 6. The Colts are out of it by week 7. And then we see quarterback X that they draft, potentially Anthony Richardson, in the starting lineup by week 8, 9. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at. I do like him, but I'm not going to go nuts with him. But I do think I am going to draft some Gardner Minshew here and there, sprinkle them in. Try to grab some Pittman Minshew stacks here and there. So right now we are on a 2570 build. We don't need quarterbacks. We see. Is this where I grab him? Let's see if he's available. I've been grabbing a lot of Marvin Mims. Let's grab Marvin Mims and potentially just be done at wide receiver right now. Potentially. There's always room for more. But we're on a 258 build right now. Let's run through our team and I'll throw the board back up. Right now, we have Josh Allen and Russell Wilson as our QBs. Travis Etienne, Cam Akers, Rashad Penny, Sean Tucker, Tajay Spears as our running backs. Steph Diggs, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Cortland Sutton, KJ Osborne, Romeo Doubs, and Marvin Mims as our wideouts. I actually do like the way this team is stacking up. Right now, we do have stacks with both our quarterbacks, with Diggs and Cortland Sutton. That's the other situation that I am looking at. I'm really interested to see what they do with that wide receiver room in Denver. It feels like Judy's gone. But gone to where? Who is trading for Jerry Jeudy? I mean, everything's upside down in terms of where people are going occasionally. I remember everyone was like, oh, Adam Thielen got released. He's only going to go to a contender because who else is going to want him? And then he signs with the Carolina Panthers, potentially the worst team in the league this coming season. So there might be a bad team that's setting up for the future that wants Jerry Jeudy. Could see someone like Houston, right? They traded away Brandon Cooks. They are setting up for a rookie quarterback. Maybe they want Jerry Jeudy. Vaporware, double tapping Houston wide receivers as we talk about that with Nico Collins and John Mechie. Very interesting. And we, like I said, we're at a 2580 build. Probably just going to backload tight ends. I probably want one more running back. I definitely want one more running back on this team. Anyways. Yeah, real interesting offseason. It wasn't as splashy as last year. It felt like every day we were getting those crazy trades, whether it be Russell Wilson or, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown. But the league kind of they adjust as they go. We see it with the rookie quarterback builds for teams. They've started to adjust to that. The wide receivers are not getting on the market. They're getting traded for, getting signed. That's why the market becomes a little more bare. And it's all still fun. All right. I'm going to grab Gesicki because I do like a tight end and Bill O'Brien's offense. Not that I love New England's offense this year as a whole, but Gesicki in the 16th round, we're going to be pounding tight ends. We're going to be getting quite a few. I don't mind starting it with Gesicki here. Not my favorite landing spot for him. I really wanted Gesicki to go to the Chargers. Felt like that was the perfect fit for him. But we've seen Bill O'Brien with his two tight end sets be very, very successful. Now, does he have a Gronk again? Absolutely not. But he could still make that system work to a lesser extent, but still be fantasy viable with Gesicki and Hunter Henry, I believe. That's a team that needs to basically order, DoorDash themselves. Let's see if you can go on DoorDash and get a wide receiver, an NFL wideout. That's the next thing to check. We'll check DoorDash. We'll see if we can get a wide receiver to the New England Patriots very soon. We are 4 picks away from this draft being done. Who do you guys think is going number 1 overall in terms of the NFL draft? I see a lot of back and forth between the two quarterbacks right now. And I thought it was a done deal, but it looks like everyone's saying that it might not be. How's everyone's March Madness brackets doing as well as we are on the clock and talking about shit that doesn't matter? Because that's what we do sometimes. So I've been grabbing Trey McBride. Let's grab Trey McBride. I don't love Arizona this year. Arizona, a team that is really setting themselves up for a rebuild, which with the injury to Kyler Murray, this is the year to do the rebuild in Arizona if you are going to do it. But I do think Trey McBride could be very fantasy viable throughout the year. Yeah, I thought it was going to be Stroud too. And now I'm hearing Bryce Young might be the guy going. But I also did see a report that it's definitely Stroud earlier. So reports are back and forth on that. Anyone crushing in March Madness? Just throw a little side note out there. How are you guys doing with that? We finally got legalized sports betting in Massachusetts, and I was working on projects over the weekend, home alone, and was just firing NCAA parlays, and being able to do that was my second most fun, like pure sports betting experience in my life. I was having a blast watching the NCAA games doing that. I've always filled out brackets, but being able to do parlays and sweat the games that way was a ton of fun. The only thing that was ever more fun was watching the Bruins win Game 7 for the Stanley Cup in Las Vegas in a sports book filled with Vancouver fans. That day was a blast as well. But it's nice to get legalized sports betting here in Mass. I no longer have to drive over the border to do that. So those of you that don't have it yet, I apologize, but it's great if you're looking to lose all your money. No, I'm actually up on NCAA this year so far. All right. I am going to grab another tight end. Who do we want to get? Speaking of Indy, let's grab Jelani Woods. So right now we have Gesicki, McBride, and Woods for our tight ends. Might want to add a rookie. I have one more running back in mind that I want to grab. I am not going to tip my hand as to who that is right now because I will get him in the last round. But thanks to Mr. John Daigle for this pick. I've been grabbing him in the 20th here and there. And if you figure it out and grab him, then you're just a mean person. Absolutely mean person. All right, we will finish up this draft. We will look at the team. I do want to look at that one whole team as well. Maybe we'll even gander at that 4 QB team that didn't have another wide receiver through like 13th rounds. They had like 2 wide receivers. See how that team's shaking out. Feels like it's probably dead. But we'll figure it out. We'll look at it. We will see. Got a lot of fun things coming up for Spike Week over the next few months. I went and filmed something last week, which I will be sharing very, very soon with everybody. I have another thing planned to film that will take a little while to get through. I have a couple things throughout the season planned. Contests, tournaments, content. Like, we are going to gear up real hard here for some of this, for this best ball off season. We thought last year was big. Oh boy, is it bigger this year. I'm going to grab, right now I have green set to match with my quarterback, as you can tell. Let's grab Alberto. Let's do it. We got Russ. Let's double stack Russ. We'll give Alberto the try in the 19th round as our 4th tight end. We're gonna land this plane with a running back, and that will be our full 20 teams. Do you guys like the 20 rounds on Underdog for the big board, or do you like the standard 18? I like that they vary it up between different contests. The only thing I didn't like is I thought the big dog last year should have stayed at 20 rounds and they went to 18. And that was a point I was going to bring up earlier, is with the single quarterback stuff. Overzet and myself's team had Hurts as our quarterback, and we smashed throughout the entire year. But we had drafted 2 other quarterbacks, so you would think that we were in great shape when he went down, and that wasn't the case because we had Ryan Tannehill that got hurt, and our other quarterback was Zach Wilson. So honestly, at that point, would have just been better to grab any other 2 players from any other positions. I think Tannehill, if I recall, didn't score us any points throughout the year, and Zach Wilson had given us like 18 points. So it just didn't matter that we had 2 other quarterbacks. Now, extreme example, we took 2 guys that like just didn't have great years, but if you're pushing quarterback, that is a possibility. And if we go back to Gardner Minshew, you take Jalen Hurts, you take Gardner Minshew, and Minshew gets pulled by week 6 or 7, and Hurts scored all your points already, then you just wasted that pick, right? So I don't know. I like the single build with the quarterbacks. I'm not going to do it every time, and I'll only be doing it probably a relatively small percentage of the time, but 20% of the time, maybe I'm going to go single quarterback when I have one of the elites. All right, let's grab Chris Rodriguez in the 20th round as a rookie running back. So we ended with 3 rookies. We have Travis Etienne, Cam Akers. Let's just go through the whole team. Quarterbacks are Josh Allen and Russell Wilson. Running back is Travis Etienne, Cam Akers, Rashad Penny, Sean Tucker, Tajay Spears, Chris Rodriguez. Wide receivers are Steph Diggs, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Cortland Sutton, KJ Osborne, Romeo Doubs, and Marvin Mims. Tight end Mike Gesicki, Trey McBride, Jelani Woods, and Albert O. So that is our squad right now. Let's gander at this PSM squad real quick, see if we can get through it. So he grabbed Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Lamar Jackson, George Kittle, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Tyler Algier, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Josh Downs, Kyler Murray, Greg Dulcich, Isaiah Hodgins, Tyler Higbee. Oh my God, I need to see this team. It's 1, 2. Let's look at this team real quick. Not my exposures. What are we doing here? I gotta scroll down. Let's look at this. View full draft. We do not want notifications. So I want to look at A to the K. This is the Mahomes Hurts team. So they got Mahomes and Hurts. Then they have Najee, DeAndre Swift, Rashad White, Devin Achane, Roshan Johnson, Leonard Fournette, Justin Jefferson, JSN, Kadarius Toney, Michael Thomas, Jalen Hyatt, Tim Patrick, Allen Robinson, Deontay Hardy, Tyler Scott, Schultz at tight end, Taysom Hill, and Dalton Kincaid. I don't hate the team overall. Again, maybe it feels like I don't even know if it feels like it's missing a wideout. I think it's for a double elite QB team. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty decent. We will look at PSN's team. So they have a 4-6-6-4 build. Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray. Then running backs are Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, Tyler Algier, Tank Bigsby, Cooper Kupp, Josh Downs, Isaiah Hodgins, Kayshon Boutte, Rashee Rice, Richie James, George Kittle, Greg Dulcich, Tyler Higbee, Noah Fant. I don't know, man. This team, it feels like it's going to be in contention in terms of just like what they have at the other positions, but that wide receiver room is going to be tough to win anything with at all. Who else is in this draft? Let's look at who was in here. Casey was in here. Casey. Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Will Levis went with the absolute punt at QB. I agree. Vaporware says way too many tight ends with Kittle on that team. Completely agree. Definitely. Dennis says that team is paying the rake. I agree. Not trying to, slander, but yeah, it's a tough team to get through. And then it's going to be a tough team to advance. So let's go back to Casey's team. He punts QB with Pickett, Howell, Levis. I do like that group of QBs for punting. Howell is a favorite late QB of mine. He's got Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson. It's a fun running back room, in my opinion. Breece Hall and Pollard as like your two workhorse guys. The question marks around the other three is fun. Jamar Chase, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jacoby Myers, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, De'Ami Brown. That's fun. You double stacked both of your quarterbacks that are on teams. So that's good. And then you have Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Luke Musgrave. You got the full Pittsburgh stack. I like you, but you're crazy. You're crazy. And we'll look at Vaporware's team since he was in the chat as well. Went with Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Jimmy Garoppolo at QB. I'm always going to hate on Jimmy Garoppolo getting drafted, so. And 13 picks above ADP. I know you were on the wrap, so you kind of had to grab him if you wanted him. But still, woof, Jimmy Garoppolo. Ugh. Running backs, Aaron Jones, James Conner. James Conner. Sir, do you know James Conner is 39 years old? Jamal Williams, Elijah Mitchell, Damian Harris, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dwayne McBride. Overall, do not hate this running back room. It's a fun one. And at at wide receiver, you have Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Nico Collins, John Mechie, Darius Slayton, Corey Davis, and then Ingram and Waller as your tight ends. I don't hate it at all. I actually do like the team overall. The Anthony Richardson potential double stack in Houston. That's a fun little idea. Team 9. Team 9 was legend. Did they overcorrelate? Let's see. Team 9 was Prescott, Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett for quarterback, Ramondre, Brian Robinson, Alexander Mattison, Kenneth Gainwell, Devin Singletary, Jerick McKinnon. Then we have CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, Wandale Robinson, Michael Gallup, Curtis Samuel. And then we're looking at Hawkinson, K. Dotton, and Logan Thomas as your tight ends. So Brissett at QB in Washington. Went real heavy on Washington here. Baker Mayfield with Tampa. I don't think you're overcorrelated in terms of Tampa. You have just a double stack here. That seems to be fine. I mean, Brissett is, you're just a wish and a prayer that he's the quarterback at some point, right? He's going to be the backup to Howell. I mean, I don't know if I'd have Brian Robinson if I'm doing the passing attack of Washington. That might be a little much for me. And then you have Dak Prescott with CD, Brandon Cooks, and Gallup. I don't want to say it's over correlated. I think this is one of those teams like when you draft it, when you're drafting CD, you're drafting Cooks, you're drafting Gallup. You're getting them in such different spots of the draft that it's fine, probably. And if you get them through and Dallas is doing anything, then it's great to have the triple stack with Dak Prescott. Right now, I still probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on Gallup, but I'm saying that not knowing what that pocket of the draft looked like in that moment. I don't think it's terrible, is what I would say. And I think that's going to do it for today. Make sure that you tip your bartenders, of course. And everybody have a lovely day. Share your teams in the Discord. Let us see what you're drafting. Oh, do you guys want to see that? God damn it. I did say I was going to show you this team, huh? I'll show you this team. Let me find it real quick. We'll find this team, and I will show you this one quarterback team with Jalen Hurts. Is this my last one? No, it's this one right here. Let's share it again. So, as you can see, it was Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Pollard, Herbert. So it is a 1-8-8-3 build we'll start with. It's Jalen Hurts, then it's Tony Pollard, Khalil Herbert, Rashad White, Damian Harris, Devin Achane, Sean Tucker, Kendre Miller, Jerome Ford at running back. Wide receiver is Cooper Kupp, Terry McLaurin, Jameson Williams, Mike Evans, Donovan Peoples-Jones, MVS, Alec Pierce, Cedric Tillman at wideout. And then my tight ends are Dallas Goedert, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson. I actually really do like this team a lot. It's a lot of fun, I think. McLaurin, I didn't talk about him during the draft. Currently think McLaurin is a steal where he's going in the 5th. I do like McLaurin a lot this year if he's going to stay in the 5th round. But that is my single build team with Jalen Hurts that I did earlier today. Obviously, I started with Cooper Kupp at the 4 pick, and then I grabbed Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round and just decided to stick with just Hurts. Anyways, that is going to do it for me, for myself, for Eric Bime, for Silas, for everyone that works over here at Spike Week. We will catch you later. Get ready for a ton of content coming, probably starting next week. All right, later, guys. Peace.